Hello, everybody. Welcome to Optimism Fractal. We're here for our 43rd episode today, and I'm pleased to be here with Tadas and Rosmari and Pat Noverbat and Temitope and Hot Manix. Welcome, Temitope. Thanks for joining here for the first time. Been joining Eden Fractal, doing really cool stuff building on base. And yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. We were talking about some nicknames and having some fun, but we're going to get into a presentation, a little intro to Optimism Fractal and what's on the agenda for today, the respect game in the upcoming town hall. If anyone would like to say a quick hello, then feel free, and I'll jump into the presentation to welcome everybody who's watching. Good to see all the amazing people here. So welcome to Optimism Fractal Season 4. We're almost halfway. I think we're a bit further than halfway through the Season 4. We'll be wrapping up in about a month or so. It's been an awesome season so far. You can learn about Optimism Fractal at optimismfractal.com. Optimism Fractal is a community that is dedicated to fostering collaboration, awarding public goods creators, and optimizing governance on the Superchain. You can learn all about it, or lots about it, on the website. You can learn about the events that we host every Thursday at 7 UTC, where you can join and network with builders, make friends, collaborate with creators on the Superchain. And you can also earn respect too, because we play a respect game, an on-chain social game that's super helpful, super powerful each week, where everybody shares what they've been doing to help Optimism for a few minutes, and then participants work together and collaborate to rank each other's contribution and give each other respect. And the more you help Optimism, the more respect you get. We also make videos too, as you may be watching. So you can check out optimismfractal.com/videos up in the top right corner there, and both see and learn all the great stuff that's going on in Optimism Fractal, as well as get involved too. When you join the event, you can share your work, promote your work, and so forth. And we're also building the OP stack tools for fractals and for respect game too, for fractal decision-making processes, for better governance processes for playing these games. So you can learn more about all of these. We have links where you can learn to get involved with the tools, the events, and so forth. It's a great place, Optimism Fractal, to develop your on-chain career and business, whatever you're building. We are building in public here at Optimism Fractal. We hope you'll join us. We have a Notion site too, where you can get involved. We're working on stuff a lot in the background, and there's also lots of funding opportunities on the Superchain too. Retro funding round 6 was just announced recently, and we discussed that at last week's town hall. And there's many more opportunities coming up on the Superchain. There's also the Sunnies too, which are the deadline is coming up soon. We might get into that today. And it's a great place too. I mentioned we're focusing on governance. So we've been trailblazing the future of governance with fractal democracy for the past few years, and Optimism Fractal is the culmination of these efforts. So you can learn about our rich history and our details page, where you can see our community approved consensus, and you can participate each week in the Optimism Fractal Sages Council if you've earned respect to help lead the community. And you can learn more about that here. And then we'll have the town hall in about 15 minutes or so right after the respect game, where we have discussions with the Superchain. Optimism Fractal was kind of born in Eden Fractal. You can learn more at edenfractal.com, which is working to refine these processes like the respect game. And it's also founded by Optimistics, a team. There's a website, optimistics.io, where you can learn more, as well as an events calendar. And we're working to bring together the Superchain, many great networks such as Base, WorldCoin, the OP mainnet, Sonium from Sony, Zora, Mode, Redstone, many others as well. You can check out optimism.io to learn more. And Base is a leading example of a great L2 network on the Superchain that you can learn more at base.org. Best way to get involved is join our weekly events on Thursdays at 17 UTC. We encourage you to join, and we also encourage you to invite friends. So even if you can't make it, this is a great way to raise awareness for people on the Superchain. Come invite people to learn about the Superchain, get involved. You can go to lou.moss/optimistics and register for weekly reminders, as well as the other events that we host, like the Town Hall and the Eden Fractal events. So I encourage you to join every Thursday at 17 UTC and invite friends. This week, the Optimistics, well, every week, Optimistics put out a tweet and a cast on Farcaster inviting everybody to join. So we encourage and appreciate when people like and retweet these to help spread the word. We love to meet new people and spread the word more. So shout out to Rosmari for making this really cool art of people playing the respect game. And also shout out for this nice message too. It's a fantastic opportunity to experiment with governance, add accountability to progress, and build your network on Optimism. I'm also encouraging everyone to join here too. And you can check out the Optimism Fractal channel on Warpcast to learn more and get involved as well. A place that you can discuss things, as well as on the gov.optimism.io, the Optimism Governance Forum, and in other places like the Optimism Fractal Discord are great places where you can get involved throughout the week. So publishing videos of each week. We recently published the video of OF41, where we discussed the award-winning Optimism Fractal Hat Streak that was a co-winner of the first the first Hats Protocol Hatathon. Really cool stuff. We also were joined by the Let's Grow team here too. So you can see all of our videos. As I said, optimismfractal.com/videos, where you can scroll through. There's timestamps for each one too. I think I'm actually getting a bit ahead of myself right now because I have this in my presentation. But yeah, if you go to the videos page. You can go click on each of these, and there's really detailed show notes where you can learn more about each of these. I put out a tweet actually encouraging people to check out optimismfractal.com/41 since it has a lot of great information. And then, yeah, you can explore all the other ones with timestamps and so forth. So you can see whatever he's building, and you can do so on the Eden Careers YouTube channel as well. We encourage you to like and subscribe and watch and share with friends. We'll have the Optimism Town Hall at 18 UTC. Everybody's welcome to join this as well if you'd like. You can also just stay for the first hour if you'd like for the Respect game. But this is where participants get to choose a topic with respect. We're pioneering innovative community agenda games. Some topics on the agenda today include the Sunny Awards, Optimism Season 6 and Optimism Governance in general, Identity and Reputation, and several others, which I'll share in just a moment. Yeah, you could see the top topic, the proof was the OP Topics game where we discuss topics. You can see how it works here. Won't go into it now, but I'll go into a bit more at the Optimism Town Hall. And then everybody can now vote on the topics. You can vote throughout the week, actually. And there's a whole bunch of interesting topics here that we can discuss. Right now, I think the leading one is optimism mission updates. But depending on the votes, that's what we'll discuss. A couple of really brief pieces of community news. We had a great discussion about Optimism Fractal at yesterday's Eden Fractal event. So thanks to everybody who joined there. And we'll be sharing the video there soon on the Eden Careers YouTube channel. And also, we published the most recent ORDAO office hours as well. So shout out to Tadas for hosting these office hours. More coming soon. And there's lots of updates that I've been making on the optimistics.io/tools page where you can learn more about the software that we are building here at Optimism Fractal. We're going to jump into the Respect game now. So we go into groups of, thanks for the confetti, Patrick, much appreciated. We're going to play the Respect game here where I think everybody here knows how to play. We usually go into groups of 3 to 6 people, but I think we only have 6 people, so we'll probably just stay in one group here. And then each player will have up to 4 minutes to share their recent contributions to Optimism and just generally introduce yourself, share what you've been working on the Superchain, and then we'll work together to rank each other's contributions, and then we'll post it on-chain on the OP mainnet, and then based upon that, everybody will receive respect if we can reach consensus, and people who receive a higher rank will receive more respect. You can see the full game rules at optimismfractal.com/details and optimismfractal.com/welcome. Feel free to ask me questions and also record, but I'm recording, so I'll post it. And feel free to also share your screen and share any links to your work too, so that everybody here can better understand your work. And we'll aim to wrap up the Respect game in about 45 minutes or so. Thank you all for listening and being here. Much appreciated. And with that, I think we can jump into the Respect game. If anybody has any just thoughts on their mind that they want to share, feel free. And if anyone wants to go first in the Respect game, then I'm very curious to see what you've all been up to on Optimism this week. So who would like to go? I saw Pat Novabat zipping his lips, so I think that he's not going to be the first.
I can be the first.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Tadas.
Okay, so this week I haven't completed much. But I started a bunch of tasks that I hope to continue over the next week and finish some of them. So one thing I started working on is some OR node stability issues that I noticed over the last weeks during testing. So thanks for helping test. This was very helpful. So one issue is that, it's basically one issue is that the connection with Venfura node drops out from time to time, and I already found the solution on the internet. Like, this is normal, and you have to reconnect. And so I will do that, and I will also plan to create a script that syncs what was missed during if our node crashes, or something that the script that would sync an OR node backup. And for those who don't know, OR node is basically backend component for ORDAO component, which stores metadata for proposals and serves an API. Yes, another issue that I discovered over last few weeks was relates to how methods to fix the respect distribution for particular week. So I already, as I tried to do that for meeting a couple weeks ago, where I tried to issue respect to Patrick, there was not a huge issue, but the thing that in a respect award issued that way, there would be no group number, which I think should be there, even if it's issued retroactively after the main issuance. Yes, so then to fix that and maybe update the respect distribution for Optimism Fractal candidate. Yes, I will also have to loc ORDAO. I think will increase the period for ORDAO so that it cannot, someone cannot just issue a bunch of respect, because right now you can the voting period plus veto period constitutes only 1 day, and yeah, it's hard to track and would be easy to attack. Yeah, and I'm also in communications with auditors. I already had a meeting with them on Monday. Yeah, and over next couple of weeks we should submit a grant proposal for Optimism Council, and yeah, and hopefully audit will start. Yeah, I will also, we just sent me a form to fill up some details, so I will have to do that in a couple of days. Yeah, and I'm also planning organizing a bit my to-dos for this project, perhaps project or ORDAO project, and I plan to publish that so that on GitHub probably where people can see what the current issues are, and maybe can contribute. I'm also trying to investigate the issue for why Zoom is crashing for me after screen sharing. Yeah, and I'll also starting to communicate with Abraham more regarding the integration with his app, and yeah, I plan to do some preparation steps for it. So one is I will try to integrate to use Wallet Connect in the current interface that I have, and that way I will test the Wallet Connect integration that Abraham will use. And yeah, I'm also looking into his configurations to see if there might be any issues, and I will also publish or client as a package. So yeah, those are the things I plan to be working on.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Das. That's all very exciting, and really appreciate your work and updates. Welcome, Eric. Thanks for joining. Great to see you. And Das, would you like to pick somebody to go next?
Yes, Rosmari, would you go?
Okay, sure. Can you say the timer, please?
Yes, I can. I'm ready to hit the button. You're muted right now. Okay. You're still muted, by the way, Rosmari. It's going to be difficult to share your contributions when you're muted.
Maybe extra points for that.
It's just a guess.
Yeah. Okay.
So I edited and published the video from last week, the Optimism Fractal 42. I worked on the title and description there, and then provided feedback and shared it in Discord and Telegram groups too. And then I worked on creating the show notes where you can see timestamps, resources. They're still in progress, but I started working on them and you can check them out now if you want. I also worked on the promotions for the events this week. You can look at my Twitter for more. Just to show some, this is the promotion for the Optimism Fractal event. I created this image. Right here, then provided feedback again, and provided feedback on the tweet threads too. You can read more and browse through each of them here. So also I promoted the Optimism Town Hall as part of it, and from personal accounts too. This is the tweet for the town hall. I made this image too to illustrate the topics as part of the Optopics. And again, it's a thread, so you can check out more here. And then also I attended and promoted the Eden Fractal event that happened yesterday. I made this image for it too, as well as the, again, same process for creating the tweet thread with getting feedback from them. And also share the previously uploaded video of Eden Fractal, where Tadas give a presentation about OREC. And did a similar promotions and webcasts in all those like relevant channels here. And you can see all the kind of the channels that I promoted it in here. And we were brainstorming. I provided some feedback, more so discussed alongside Dan about the Eden Creators videos mission request. Kind of ways to go about improving the mission request based on the results that the mission request reviewers left for each of the sections here on the results. And then we also were brainstorming on kind of what to do for Eden Fractal this week, and we came up with this idea to create Optimism Fractal stories, which is a series of kind of diving deeper into Optimism Fractal, and kind of drafted out some questions here. So it's kind of like an interview type of series that we're thinking of creating with Dan, where I'm mostly the host, but we'll see how it goes, and who else will join too. And then also I made some notes from what kind of to help Dan as we were brainstorming on what to do for Eden Fractal that was yesterday, and where he went over like a really nice he did a really nice presentation on state of fractals. And then also he provided me with some feedback on the Optimism Fractal feedback page, and to make it look better. And also we also went through some feedback that he provided to me for the intro video for the Optimism Town Hall, because we want to separate it and produce it separately from the Optimism Fractal videos. And yeah, he'll probably go into more details here on the feedback that he provided. And yeah, I also worked on promoting the kind of on the draft to promote the video from Optimism Fractal 41. And that's it. I also did a few other things, like I attended the mission, the Optimism mission request office hours. I always forget to look at my notes. Sorry. And hey, Eric, again, would you like to go next?
Sure. As most people know, my mission is to figure out how to get a steady stream of money going in to develop the app and the processes and all that. The first step of that is getting university endorsement and then a case study. and then doing more case studies and actually rolling this out. The biggest challenge I've been having over the last couple of weeks, besides going to Innovation Day and doing clean tech symposiums and things like that, is fighting over the leaderboard. Had to go do researches on the potential damage of leaderboards and how to mitigate it. So right now they're asking me to suppress the leaderboards. So that's my latest challenges, is I can run them through the process, but then I have to give them personal updates that I'll probably have to send by hand to say, here's how many points you earned and here's how you compare. But they don't want me to doing leaderboards. So I've been fighting over that a couple of weeks, had lots of meetings, giving them lots of research on why it's mitigated. But yeah, there's some concerns among some nonprofits, and there's concerns in the academic community that for at least ranking people, they don't want leaderboards at this stage. So that's been painful. So that's basically my update, is fighting the leaderboard battle. So now I need to figure out how I can do this without, can we suppress the leaderboard so it doesn't show anybody these leaderboards? And I've also on how to anonymize them. So I have to give them, volunteer numbers randomly assigned, and protect all this thing and talk about storing and encrypting data. And it's not pleasant. That's the challenge of trying to work with a university. Free the leaderboards. Well, yeah, I don't think I'm going to win that battle. That's what I've been fighting over the last week, saying, yeah, but here's the mitigating. If you look at the research, it's mostly for things that everybody does, small groups. So I've got them to buy off on the small groups is okay, because they change every week. So I've got them on the consensus thing. They're okay, but they don't like the leaderboards, at least this stage. So, and I talked to them how we're really talking about ranking ideas, and you do need a leaderboard to rank ideas and decisions. But the damages, there's research that shows that leaderboards can be damaged to those people that are consistently in the bottom. So that's, leaderboards can do that. But then it talks about why that does, and the stuff we're doing mitigates a lot of that by doing it in small groups, by having people actually control of the activities, so it's actually creative and they have some autonomy in what they share. So it's not like we're all competing to do the same number of baskets, and the period that gets more baskets in the hoop, every week, or do more language lessons. So the 10 for those is people that get in the bottom. The top, no problem. The people that get in the bottom often bow out and don't come back. And so that's my challenge. How am I going to do this without exposing people to a leaderboard? Open for any suggestions.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, well, we can discuss that, and I don't know, maybe the app that Abraham and Howard are building can help you out with that, and we could follow up.
Well,
on that.
If they could just suppress the leaderboard for that version, we'd be good. Because I still need to see it, because I still need to give them the points and know what the points are. But we don't have to show them how they rank with everybody. And by the way, when they rank, they're going to be ranked under volunteer number randomly picked, 27. So it's going to be random volunteer 27. Here's where you rank. But they're concerned that people could then figure out that Dan Singjoy is volunteer 38, and he might be. He never would be because it's Dan, but he might be at the bottom, and that might psychologically impair them, which violates the Belmont rules for doing university research.
All right. Well, very interesting. I wish you the best of luck there, Eric, too. I was just, I have a couple quick comments. I don't know if you want anything else, but one, I was just thinking that I know people who watch Eden Fractal videos are very familiar with your work, but you only joined Optimism Fractal once, I think, so people might not be familiar. But just to be clear, the research you're talking about is using some sort of, not exactly respecting, but I think you're calling it something different, but a kind of fractal decision-making process where people rank each other, and you're doing an academic dissertation about the effect on the motivation of volunteers, as well as you're aiming to integrate it with some organizations. So I wanted to just put that out there in case people didn't know.
The overall work in a nutshell is minimizing dysfunction group decision making, but that's too big for a dissertation. So my dissertation is measuring the impact of appreciation on nonprofit volunteers. So I'm using extrinsic motivators in a way that can turn into intrinsic for long-term impact. Lots of research on why that works and when and how to do it, and specific guidance on what and how to appreciate people and how to create the buy-in. So I've got hundreds and hundreds of references and pages on why this should work and how it works. It mentions the work of the Go Fractal. It mentions the word of Eden Fractal. So all that stuff is in there. So I just need to get this done so I get a stamp, get it out there this year. And then in the real world, it doesn't matter what we do. As long as I don't have to do the academic, then I don't have to apply those rules.
Okay, cool. Well, sounds great. Thank you, Eric. I'm really excited about that progress and really appreciate you joining us here. Welcome to, I think, welcome back to Optimism Fractal for the first time in a while, and looking forward to seeing the progress. I also want to mention a logistical note about the timing and the setup of this reset game, as Rosmari's having a party over here. So we have 7 people here because Temitope left at one point and then Eric joined, and we don't have like an official rule. I see Patrick putting up the rotating start here. So, and we only have 27 minutes left until the top of the hour. So there's 4 people who haven't gone yet. So that means we could each take 4 minutes, and then that'd be 16 minutes about, and we'd have about 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes to reach consensus maybe. But the app can only allow 6 people to play the respect game. If we had 7 people in the beginning, then we could have gone 2 different breakout rooms, 4 and 3. But I'm wondering if anybody has any suggestion about the best way to proceed, given that
I didn't hear all of Tadas's anyway, and I don't know if anyone else goes first. So I wouldn't vote anyway because I don't have that perspective. So I'm okay with that.
Okay. We also had Rosmari saying in the message, I volunteered to not join the ranking, and Jake said I plan to for mine for take 30 seconds this week so others can claim my time. Okay, so I suppose we can figure out who will participate in the ranking and stuff like that, and then we can always follow up with giving people respect, maybe with the ORDAO software or something like that, as Tadas has built that new feature. And then if you want to pass it on to somebody to go next, Eric, then feel free. Thank you both for volunteering. Also, Temitope said internet is not very good, unfortunately. Okay, well, hope that it works out well. I appreciate you trying to persevere through that. And Tadas says everyone wants to be at the bottom of the leaderboard.
Has Hot Maniacs gone?
No.
Hot Maniacs. So yeah, go.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, mine will be incredibly short this week. I haven't really done anything in this past week. So that's that. But I am here today supporting everybody else in the community here doing this. And so, yeah, it said it was going to be short and sweet. So that's my contributions for the week. Just helping support everybody else, hopefully.
Thank you, Jake. We really appreciate you joining here to support us. That's super helpful, and yeah, much appreciated. If there is anything else you want to talk about, you still had like a few minutes. If I know you said you only wanted to take 30 seconds, you could pick somebody to go next if you want, but would be curious. I'm sure you've been up to something. So if there's anything else you want to share, then feel free. Otherwise, you can pass it on whenever you want. What's up?
Thank you. Maybe I'll save it for next week to talk about. But yeah, I'm glad to hand it off now.
Okay. Building momentum for next week. Looking forward to it.
Dan, would you like to go?
Sure, I'm happy to go. Also, I will just maybe parlay that, if that's a fitting word for this, and see if Patrick or Temitope wants to go first. I've spoken quite a bit already, and we haven't yet heard from Pat Novabat or Temitope. So, would either of you like to take my to take the spot and go next? Or if not, I'm happy to go. I see Temitope is unmuting.
Yeah, this is my first time attending this meeting. I've not really done anything optimism specific this week. As you rightly point out, that I've mostly been working on base and the Superchain in general, but having a good idea of what happens during the Optimism Fractals, I will probably have a better contribution, coming up.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for letting us know. And also thank you for joining for the first time. And welcome once again. Really appreciate it. And also thank you for joining the Eden Fractal event last week or not last week, yesterday, whatever it was, and the other one recently. And then also, so Optimism Fractal is supporting the Optimism Superchain. So Optimism, there's a lot of confusion, and I'm not sure if you're aware or some of the viewers are aware, but Optimism started out as just the OP mainnet, but Optimism is now the Superchain, which includes Base as well as Zora and many other networks too. So you're welcome. I believe you've been working with Base and the Graph and some other development platforms too. So if you'd like to provide a more detailed introduction to yourself, Temitope, as well as anything you've been doing over the past week on Base or other superchain networks, or just in general, even if you didn't do it in the past week, if you want to share a bit more about your recent work in general, then you're welcome to, and you still have a few minutes to do so if you like.
Yeah, I'm a graph advocate. So on Friday, I took a video training for, because I'm in Nigeria. So I took a training for some students in Nairobi participating in a Graph on Campus hackathon. I just taught them how to connect a subgraph to their front end. Then I create tutorials on building on farcaster and using on-chain kit. So for last week, I created a farcaster frame on how to create a simple calculator inside a farcaster frame. So, it takes two inputs and performs a simple mathematical operation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. And then I also created a game that will be an HTML game, a retro. If anybody remembers this game from the 80s, because I'm a 70s baby. So this 80s game, Simon, which different colors so I created that for Webcast. So I've submitted it this week. So hopefully it'll be available for anybody to play in the next couple of days. So that's just a summary of the things I've done in the last 7 days.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for providing more details. Yeah, it's really interesting, and I'm glad that you provided more about that. I'm looking forward to seeing the HTML game that you created and the farcaster tutorials. And yeah, I'm very interested to learn about your work more. I've seen some of your casts and tweets talking about the graph and base. So if there's anything else you want to share, I see Rosmari just shared a link to one of your recent casts. If there's anything else you want to share, then you still have another minute to do so. If you want, I can also pull up anything on the screen real quick. And you're also welcome to share any links in the Zoom chat or the Discord chat as well, if you'd like for us to look into it. And yeah, I appreciate you doing all this work, and I'm very much looking forward to learning more about it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be sharing links inside the Discord, especially links to the blog that I'm currently it's hosted on Hashnode, but we're making plans to actually create a website for the blog, and it's not just going to be building on farcaster. It'll be teaching Solidity. From what I learned, it's always good to have a reference where you can refer students to whenever you hold a training. Now, all right, if you have any questions or any further, you want to look at examples of what I've tried to explain, you can always look at my repo. You can always check out this blog post. I did a couple of training at hackathons earlier in the year. That's when I came across that. So that's why I started creating content before I do a training. So yeah, I will definitely be doing that in due course.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks so much for sharing more details. I just, by the way, pulled up, Rosmari shared the link to what you're working on too. So I pulled up your Warpcast profile, and then people can check out more about what you're doing here. And then you have this week you built the Simon game too. So I just figured I'd pull it up in case people want to look into it. But I guess I'll have to look and see how it works. If there's anything else you want to share, then feel free to do so, or whenever you're ready, you can pass it on to somebody else as well. And I can stop sharing my screen, or if you want me to point anything out real quick, then I can as well.
No, there's nothing to share this week. Like I said, getting to know what the community is doing, and I look forward to more contributions and helping to grow the community.
All right. Excellent. Well, thanks so much. I look forward to it too. And I see Rosemary's putting out the heart. So that's great to hear. And looking forward to checking out the Simon app more and collaborating going forward. If you'd like to pick somebody to go next, well, it's just me and Pat Noverbat going next. So I offered before, if Pat Noverbat, you want to go next, then feel free to jump in. If there's anything else, oh, I see Pat Noverbat's unmuted.
Yeah, thank you. Just will be very short and concise. I'll share my screen.
Okay, sounds good.
So that's the fractal data collector, as the name implies. It's not only for Optimism Fractal, it's for any fractals. And for the moment, we have the Optimism Fractal on the left and the upscale fractal on the right. And for Temitope, that will be very easy for you to send your contribution to this mind map. I will put into the chat the link to that. Let me just put, but it's fractalden.net, as you see, /fractals/fractal-data-collector.html. So it's totally online. And if you have to send a contribution to that, you just click here, add your category to the Optimism Fractal, and then you give your IT address. Later on, we will be able to put our account IT, because we have a ENS integration with Optimism Fractal at a point. We will be able to put a name, a real name, account, not an address, very complicated. And then you put your URL to your resource on the web, for example, a GitHub repo, why not? Then you put your category, as you want the category appear on the mind map, and the title of the topic, and you submit. I receive that into a database, and then I update the mind map, and that's it. And this mind map will be on chain at a point because it's HTML5, and it's easy to compress and put that on the chain. And that's it for the screen sharing. For the rest, I am in contact with Will Kingfisher, another great contributor of Optimism. I have a video plan with him on next Tuesday. That's tomorrow, fast. So I will interview him. And I will continue to interview other builders in Optimism Fractal, and also doing some testing with ORDAO and basically with ORDAO to map out into the mind map and call the links of Tadas, and then show that the mind map is able to be like a UI, not the only one UI, but a great UI to map out the contribution of the people. And at a point, I will contact again Otmanix, so Jacob, to see how we could maybe integrate a new at into the at tree of Optimism Fractal. And if someone is sending a contribution to the mind map, he will be able to claim an at of the Optimism Fractal. So that's all. It's only 1:30 left, so very short. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pat. Much appreciated. Yeah, excited to see the interview with Will that you do, and the output of the discussions with Jake. And thank you for sharing the fractalden.net link here with the fractal data collector with us. If there's anything else you wanted to add, then you still have a bit of time, as you know, but otherwise I can go as well.
Oh yeah, there is 1 minute, yeah. So I am
Yes.
just happy to see the improvement with Tadas for the ORDAO. The last video that was last week, Thursday, the last hours call. I participated there. That was great. There was Rosmari also, and you and Dan, and that was very great with Tadas. And we had a fun moment and a nice update for the ORDAO. That's worked very well, very easy to use. And I enjoy to see that as a new possibility for this Optimism Fractal to vote. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Patrick. I think Rosmari said thank you as well, but she was muted. All right, well, that's great to hear. Really love to hear everybody's great contributions to Optimism. Super cool. And I suppose with that, I will put the timer up for myself and I will share what I've been doing to help Optimism. And I'll share my screen. Okay, so what did I do to help Optimism? There's several different things that taking longer to load than expected. So one, I put up the new proposals, mission proposals for Optimism Fractal Respect game, and the Eden creators videos that Rosmari mentioned before too. So each of these, I kept a lot of it similar, but I also made some updates to the sections based upon feedback from the grants counselors. I did join the grants council office hours and have been working a lot on responding to feedback from grants counselors. So you could see a little bit of updates about things I added here, changing around audit details and changing scope and deliverables and so forth to better convey the benefits of Optimism Fractal and these videos for the collective and for the grants council, and similarly for the respect game as well. This is two proposals to help on the development of videos that can support the Optimism Fractal community and in general any community that wants to implement the respect game or other on-chain fractal decision-making protocols and so forth. And then the respect game mission proposal is to basically conduct research and design an automated, decentralized, compliant fund distribution system for the respect game and explain how this can be helpful for the collective to distribute funds and distribute OP so people can earn OP rewards by joining Optimism Fractal and other events and so forth using the respect game. So I worked on those. And then in the background too, I worked on a lot of website updates to go along with this and just in general too. So I spent a lot of time curating the development of various builders in the community. So I did put together a page about audits where I curated the audit progress that Tadas had mentioned with the Nevermind security team. And I also kind of just provided a general overview for this page. I had also shared some more updates just about why like the HATS protocol integrations we have and the audit history and stuff like that. So put together that article and put it on the Optimism blog. I also did some work refining the OREC article and the ORDAO article, the stuff that Tadas is working on, included the new videos and included what Tadas wrote on the GitHub page for the OREC system and so forth. And then I also, the ORDAO page, as I said before, I worked, this isn't updated actually fully, but I worked on updating this and refining this and adding the newest videos from, thanks Patrick for making that video, as well as the Eden Fractal, Optimism Fractal, and the ORDAO office hours that we put together. In addition, all these pages I had them loaded, but they're not loading right now. I also updated the fractalgram article to show the work that Howard and Abraham are doing. Once again, this isn't loading properly, but it just takes a little while to load sometimes. But I provide some more details about that, and I provide more details about the Respect Game apps, the Respect Games app that Vlad is building with Lennar as well. And once again, for whatever reason, it's not loading. I had it loaded before. It's loading, but it's just not as the most updated version. So the more updated version is more detailed. I put it all together kind of in this Fractal Apps article, which curates in more detail all of these apps that people are building in the Optimism Fractal community, as well as other apps that are coming along, and yeah, updated the tools article too. I also updated the communities article too. I hosted the Eden Fractal event, and Tadas gave me some feedback about including this article about all the communities that are using fractal decision-making processes. So that's a work in progress, but I am working on showcasing those, and there's about 10 or 15 different communities there that have experimented with it. And then I followed up with some messages in the chat about the Optimism Town Hall this week too. I put up 2 different topic proposals for the Optimism Town Hall about the Optimism Fractal Builder profiles and the Sunny Awards. And then I also worked on refining the OP topic system too with Snapshot. There's some issues that I'm constantly working on to make it more intuitive to vote on topics. And I've also been working on researching on-chain analytic solutions to measure Optimism Fractal's progress with on-chain. I researched the govnerds after being shared with this with Rocky. I'm thinking about joining this. It's an initiative in Optimism for people to get more involved with governance. And I created a standard operating procedure for mission requests upon request from SOV, who's one of the grants counselors. So that helps other people make mission requests and understand them. worked with Rosmari on the State of Fractals and Optimism Stories. Oh, that was her idea, and I just helped out. And there's some cool shows that she's done in the past over here that were inspired by, and I kind of encouraging her to do it because I think it'd be really cool. And then I hosted a State of the Fractals discussion at Eden Fractal, and I put out a bunch of tweets encouraging everybody to join Optimism Fractal and learn more and invite friends and so forth. And worked with Rosmari, collaborated and provided some advice and so forth. I think that's everything for now. And thank you all for listening. And I will go into the not screen sharing. I see that Tadas shared the Telegram link. If anybody has any relatively quick questions or comments for anybody that would, especially if it would be helpful to reach consensus, then please, now would be a good time to share it. I encourage and ask that everybody joins the Telegram group. We still do need to figure out, I think both Rosmari and Eric volunteered not to participate in the respect game. So we have 7 people, so we can't have more than 6 people. So I don't know if either one saw Rosmari raise her hand there. How should we do this going forward is my question, basically.
No, join.
Okay, so thank you, Rosmari. That's very kind and gracious of you. I think also, by the way, I don't know if you mentioned it, but you did a lot of proposals on the you and Tadas both did a lot of proposals on Snapshot this week. So that was a big thing. I was trying to figure out what's going on, but I appreciate that. We had some issues with the respect distributions, and looking forward to the semi-automated respect distributions. And yeah, perhaps we can do well. Lots of respect for you, Rosmari. Appreciate you joining and the gracefulness, and we can maybe figure out some proposals to get you more respect in the future, even though you're opted out of this respect game.
Fine by me.
Sounds good. We have 4 people in the Telegram group, so everybody but Rosmari will be joining this Telegram group. So we're missing Eric and Jake. Now we're missing Jake. Jake, could you please join the Telegram group? And if everybody can also please get their Optimism/EVM address ready, because Tadas will momentarily put out a poll requesting each person's addresses.
I forget which address I had. What does it need to be? I've got lots of different, I forget which ones you're using now.
It's an EVM address, Optimism address, so it looks like 0x, and then it has about 50 numbers and letters after that.
0x.
MetaMask wallet or something similar.
Okay, MetaMask.
Yeah, MetaMask works, yes.
All right.
Okay, and we have everybody has added their Optimism account except Eric so far. Once Eric gets that, then we'll vote to rank level 6, which is who do you think helped Optimism the most this week? Do you think you'll be able to get that momentarily, Eric, or do you know how long it'll take you to get that?
I have no idea. It's been a while since I used MetaMask.
Okay. I know there was an address you used when you joined like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That
It's just been months.
yeah, I wonder which event that was, because if it was, I can go into the fractalgram group and then search for it and find out what your address was.
Okay.
I suppose we could do too, Tadas, I think that we could probably just
All right,
get going
it's
with
a
the
0x address.
Yep, that's right.
All
If
right.
you can copy and paste that into the fractalgram Telegram app, then that would be perfect.
See if I can do that. Okay.
We do soon have coming easier sign-in and wallet integration options. Thanks
Does
to
that look right?
yes, that does.
Okay.
All right, way to go. All right. Thanks, glad you're enjoying it. We can now rank who do you think should be ranked at level 6? Who do you think of optimism the most? And this week, who do you think deserves most respect for this week? Okay, we have 3 votes for Tadas, 1 vote for Eric, 1 vote for me, and 1 vote for Patrick. Would any of you like to change their votes or advocate either way? I'd previously voted for Temitope, but I changed my vote to Tadas after seeing that Tadas had a couple votes, and just for my my rationale here. Really appreciate what everybody's doing. And we only do have a few minutes left to come to consensus. I mean, we could go over. Ideally, we'd be finishing sooner, so we have more time for the town hall and stuff like that. But we're working on this punctuality thing, and sometimes it's difficult when you have 7 people. If you'd like to switch your vote to yourself, Tadas, then you can. Or if you want to advocate it anyway, then you can. Okay.
Yes, I switched my vote for the sake of consensus.
Okay.
I'm advocating for Eric because I think it's if he makes that paper happen, it might, like he said, it might open up a lot of other opportunities. And yeah, he did haven't joined the respect games in a while, so I think he deserves some respect.
It's not that I don't care. It's just
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, Eric is he's been a long time fractal enthusiast, and he's doing some really interesting, exciting stuff behind the scenes, as he kind of mentioned here. So I switched my vote to Eric on Tadas's suggestion. Now he has 46 votes, so Eric gets level 5. We can now rank level 4. Who do you think did the third most job optimism this week? And we're missing a vote from Pat Novabat, I believe. Right now, well, first I'll just wait until Pat Novabat puts in the vote, I suppose. Oh, it looks like we have a vote now. We have 3 votes for Patrick. We have 1 vote for myself and 2 votes for Temitope. Would anybody like to advocate either way? I suppose. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I switched my vote to Patrick. I think it's worth ranking him next. And also,
Okay, sounds good.
yeah,
Patrick gets level 4. And now we will do who should be ranked as level 3. The 3 remaining options are Jacob, myself, and Temitope. There's 2 votes for each person here, so we can change it around. In this case, I previously voted for Temitope the past couple times, but I voted for Jacob. I can go either way, really. But one of the reasons why I voted for Jacob was because he helped a lot with the hats tree. like a few weeks ago, and then he also he built a really cool app too that he presented a couple weeks ago. This is kind of prior contributions. I wasn't really ranking his contributions this week, although I much appreciate him joining and supporting. But the app that he built for like the profile, the portfolio, I watched that on Superchain demo and it was really cool. But I get switched to Temitope, and I think that he has 3 votes now, so I suppose I'll happily do that. You're welcome, Jake. Yeah, thanks for building the app. That was that's super interesting. And I know you said you had some exciting plans for building it in the future as well and building it more out. I'm trying to. It was inspiring to think about how it might working with some of the other stuff that you're building, and looking forward to seeing next steps if you plan to continue building it. And also, thanks to Temitope, really appreciate you joining, like I said before, and what you're building is really cool. So I'm very happy for you to get more respect here as well.
Yeah, I always think it's good to reward people who take time to learn and join for the first few times. So that's part of a contribution, I would say. So that's why I'm voted for Temitope, and I see we have consensus, so now level 2.
I see consensus level 3. I don't see consensus at level 2 though. I see 3 votes for both me and
Yes.
Jacob.
Yes, we have for level 3, I meant, and now for level 2.
Okay.
Well, I think if we are talking about this particular week, I think it would be like Dan obviously did a lot, and Jacob, as he said, he did not do a lot. So
Okay. Yeah, I did do a lot too. So appreciate that. It looks like somebody switched over to me, so I have 4 votes now. And looking forward to seeing what Jacob will do in future weeks. And yeah, those are technically the rules. Sometimes we kind of play around with them loosely a little bit to reward past contributions over a month ago or whatever. But generally, it's past week, so I'll happily accept that. And thanks everybody for the great respect game. Please submit the results. Temitope, it's your first time using this app, I believe. So what you need to do here in order to submit it on chain is at the bottom, it says results can be submitted here. There's a hypertext link where it says the word here. So if you click on that, then it'll open up a web app and it'll have all the addresses, the 6 addresses that we each have preloaded into the Optimism Fractal web app. And then you can sign in there and then hit the submit button. And then that will submit it on chain so that each of the consensus results are on chain. And if we can get at least 4 of us to submit it on chain, then we'll each be distributed respect in the coming week according to the rankings. Each successful level gets about 60% more respect than the prior level. And with that, we are a couple minutes over time for the respect game and the town hall, so we could conclude the respect game. It's okay too if we want to. That we're over time, so we can be kind of casual. If anybody has any last thoughts about the respect game they want to share, if anybody does need to go and add now, then feel free to, or feel free to go whenever. You could share any last words. And for anybody who can stick around and is interested, we'll be having a discussion. We have another 25 minutes scheduled for the Optimism Town Hall event, where we have some very interesting topics up. I see Pat Nobat said, see you next week. See you, Pat. Thanks for joining. And I can get into the town hall topic whenever we're ready and kind of give a little introduction as well. And if any of you did want to put any votes to change the topic as well, then that's still welcome to do so. If there's anything that you'd like to discuss. I have the presentation ready, so I suppose with that being said, I can just jump into it and I'll give a quick presentation. I'll try to keep it very concise within maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes at the most, but I'll go for a few minutes and then we'll have an open discussion about the topics at the town hall. And if anybody has any thoughts they want to share that's not on topic, then feel free to suggest them in the chat as well. And feel free to raise your hand at any point if anything you'd like to share. Thanks all for the amazing contributions to the check game. and welcome everybody to the Optimism Town Hall. So we're here. We're here on Thursday. Welcome everybody to the Optimism Town Hall. We just completed an Optimism Factory Respect game. We meet for the Optimism Town Hall on Thursdays at 18 UTC. Thank you all for joining. Optimism Town Hall is a collaborative forum dedicated to conversations at the Superchain, and it features innovative community agenda games where participants can choose the topics with respect, with reputation tokens on chain. And it's a great place to learn about the latest developments in the Superchain, help lead the Optimism Collective, and explore opportunities with the Optimism Fractal community too. So I'm going to go over the agenda a little bit and the things that we'll discuss today. And we're going to play the agendas game. That's how we organize these town hall events. So the way that this works basically is anybody can propose a topic on the Optimism Town Hall snapshot space, and then whichever topic receives the most votes, everybody can vote with respect on the topic and then whatever receives the most votes at Monday at UTC will be the topic that is discussed. So you can learn more about this at optimistics.io, and there's also lots of developments that we're working on too to make it easier for more people to get involved and vote. Even if you haven't earned the respect tokens, you can RSVP and invite friends at lou.moss/optimistics. We love to meet new people, and everybody's welcome to join. And you can learn more about Optimism Fractal, the community and the events that we just had previous at optimismfractal.com. Optimism Fractal is a community dedicated to fostering collaboration, awarding public goods creators, and optimizing governance on Superchain. Everybody's welcome to join both the events on Thursdays at 17:18 UTC to earn respect and then vote on topics and participate in discussions about optimism. Currently, the Optimism Town Hall videos are at the end of Optimism Fractal videos, the last like half hour or so. So you can find show notes for each Optimism Town Hall episode and timestamps and so forth in optimismfractal.com/videos. We're also working to produce these as separate events too. So we recently discussed the Optimism Fractal ORDAO app, community insights, the Optimism Fractal Hats tree, and the Let's Grow Hats tree. Much more coming, much more you can explore here. We're also planning to be joined by David Ehrlichman, who's a co-founder of Hats Protocol, next week as well. And you can watch all these on the Eden Creators YouTube channel as well. We encourage you to like and subscribe and share to spread the word about the town hall and the fractals and all the cool stuff that's going on in the Superchain. So the Optimism Town Hall snapshot space, the topic that received the most votes this week, the only topic that was proposed is OP Topics, which is actually like a topic game. So basically the way that this works is that anybody can pose and vote and choose discussion topics anytime, either throughout the week or during the event too. So there's a new snapshot space for OP Topics that everybody's welcome to propose topics in. And then being that this was the top voted topic, this is basically how we'll decide which topics were decided. There's some benefits, and there's a website here, optimistics.io/OP Topics, where you can learn more about how it works. But basically each person can propose topics, vote on topics. And we also have a system where we can switch topics too, which we haven't really used much. We're kind of experimenting with. But if anybody wants to switch topics at any point, then feel free to just type next topic, or I suppose raise your hand, say next topic, and then we can also veto that. We have kind of an optimistic transition system too if we want to experiment with it. And yeah, everybody's welcome to also just feel free to share thoughts as an open discussion, but we'll try to stick on the topics that are voted. On this OP Topics snapshot space, I added a whole bunch of topics, or like 7 or so, that I figured we could just kind of discuss throughout the rest of the season. And so these topics that are up there right now, I added 2 new ones this week: Optimism Fractal Builder Profiles and the Sunny Awards. There's also some previous ones that were up from previous week's Optimism Mission Updates, Retro Funding Round 6, which we discussed last week, focused on governance. I recommend people watching the prior episode to learn more. Optimism Collective Identity and Optimism Collective Governance, and then kind of a questions and answers game. I'll give a really high-level overview of each of these, as well as show which ones have the most votes too. So Optimism Fractal Builder Profiles doesn't have votes right now, but this is an idea about like a new kind of networking site where you can see all the builders on Optimism. I think it could work with Hats Protocol. I think there's some really interesting ideas I'd like to discuss at some point. Optimism Mission Updates has 1.5 thousand OPF votes right now. Then this is where I can provide updates about missions and mission requests on Optimism 6. There's a Notion page where you can find more details about this. There is 1.2K OPF for Retro Funding Round 6. So the top topic seems to be the Optimism Mission updates. In addition, there's also Optimism Collective Governance, talking about what is the Optimism Collective and how does the governance systems work in Optimism Collective. Right now, there is 1.2K OPF voting for this. This is kind of the second or third top topic. And the Sunny Awards, a new award show. I want to just put out a Reminder that registration for this closes on September 29th. So if you're building on the Superchain and you've made some transactions on any kind of app, then there's up to 500. There's 540K OP in prizes. So this one didn't receive the most votes. Maybe we'll discuss in a future week. But there is a Notion page and the sunnyawards.fund where you can learn more about this. And anybody can also change the votes at any time. And we can also discuss Optimism Collective Identity, which kind of goes along with Optimism Collective Governance, but that has 476 OPF, and there's 0 votes for the questions and answers game. So with that, I believe I refreshed the latest votes. One other thing I can mention too is I was working on a project. I did show this during the spec game, but we're working on a system to make this work better with Snapshot. Snapshot's not like the ideal app right now to show. Like ideally on this Optopics, there'd be like a amount of votes and upvotes, and you could sort it and stuff like that. So we're working on improving the system, but that's just kind of a general overview. So thanks all for being here, and thanks for listening, and excited to get into topics. And let me know if anybody changes their votes. That's another thing that would be nice if we could have like a constant stream to see what topics have the most votes at the current time. But currently the one that has the most votes is Optimism mission updates. So I can share some details about that. I see Tadas said he had to go. Thanks everyone for the meeting. So yeah, if anybody has any questions or comments now, then feel free to jump in or raise your hand. If not, then I will get into the Optimism mission updates and provide some details about the 2 different missions I've been making, as well as general updates with the Grants Council. And we're now in cycle 28 and how it's going and so forth. All right. I think we'll proceed, but yeah, feel free if anybody has any questions or comments, share them in the chat or unmute or raise your hands. So I'll go ahead and just give a presentation and try to give an overview. So I suppose I could start off with kind of a more general overview of Optimism missions, and then I can go into the missions that I've been working on, the mission requests and the mission proposal I've been working on that are related to Optimism Fractal and Eden Creators videos as well. So I'll also provide some context too. So we discussed Optimism missions quite a bit in previous episodes of Optimism Fractal. In the 32nd episode of Optimism Fractal, we talked about Optimism Season 6, and in particular, we focus on how can you be rewarded in Season 6 of Optimism. So after playing a respect game at the Optimism Fractal at the Town Hall, we explored how Superchain builders can get involved and make missions and make mission requests. The general overview is that mission requests are a way that you can propose something that the Optimism Collective should fund, and there's a grants council which reviews all the approved mission requests, and then once the mission requests get approved, then anybody can apply for those mission requests to earn funding. There can be both kind of builder grants where you can earn funding by building something, and also growth experiment grants where a builder can give out funding as incentives to people who use their apps. So there's much more detail in this video, as well as if you go on Twitter to Optimism Grants, then you can learn more details about how the system works as a whole, and we tried to curate it well in these videos. And then the 35th Optimism Fractal episode, and the Town Hall episode that was following after it, we discussed mission requests in more detail. So yeah, just to clarify, the mission requests are kind of a first step that you can make if you want to propose something that the Optimism Collective funds. And then after the mission requests are approved by the Grants Council, whichever ones get approved, then people can apply to those as mission proposals in order to do certain things that would be helpful for the collective and receive OP as a reward for doing so. So in these 2 events, we discussed these in much more detail, and you can watch those at optimismfractal.com/35 and 32. So that's kind of like an overview. And then there's been a bunch of updates going on. So I suppose what I should do is probably go to Twitter right now, because this is how I usually find their page, and that might be like the best thing to show just for like a general overview. If you go, as I said, go to search for Optimism Grants, then I believe it's Optimism Grants. Yeah. Then there's a Charmverse page over here. They also, host office hours, and they put out these articles, which I can go over, like the grand roundup and stuff like that. But these grants over here, or this Charmverse page, has an overview of how all the processes work, all the applications that have been submitted, all the mission requests that are available, and yeah, basically different resources. And you can go into like the final grants rounds up to see all the ones that were approved, basically all the missions that were approved, and how much funding they received or will receive, and what their different kinds of like basically what they're doing, what their application is for, and so forth. So that's also a website where you can get involved. You can look at the mission request list and make proposals and so forth. There's also a calendar which shows that we're in, I believe, the 28th cycle, and this season will be continuing for the next 2 months or so, ending in November. So if anybody wants to make mission proposals, then you can go to the mission request list and see active mission requests and see if something fits. If not, in season 7, you'll also have an opportunity to make mission requests or mission requests and mission proposals as well. So once again, feel free to jump in if there's anything on your mind, any questions and so forth. But if not, then I'll proceed and just kind of keep talking and share more details. I've been working on missions a lot over the past months, so I have a lot to say, and I'm happy to share some more details as well. Although the page is not loading. Okay, there we go. So yeah, as I said, I've been participating in this a lot. I made several mission requests. So I made mission requests to develop on-chain social games that attract builders to Optimism, create educational programs that empower developers on Optimism, create and distribute videos about Optimism collective governance, and grow developers on Optimism via community events. These ones, 3 of them got approved at a lower budget than I had originally requested. And then I also requested, there's another thing called rolling mission requests that was recently released, where usually they just do mission requests once per year, or once per season rather. But Gunna, who's the Grants Council lead, came out with this system where anybody can propose it at multiple times throughout the season. And then there was another set of mission requests that got approved. I imagine this might be confusing with a lot of information, basically, but yeah, now there's currently they're accepting mission requests. There's only a 15K budget left with these new mission requests, but they are accepting new mission requests, and there's still lots of budget available for the mission proposals as well. And I had made a couple new versions of mission requests. I've also spent a lot of time too advocating for these mission requests. So just to provide a bit of detail, like the on-chain social games that attract builders to Optimism, one of my main motivations here is to fund developers who are building the Respect game, as well as any other developer building kind of on-chain social games, but especially support developers who are working with Optimism Fractal. You know, there's over 5 or 6 developers who are building apps actively for Optimism Fractal, and currently it's mostly being done on a volunteer basis. So I see immense potential for these apps, like the Respect game app and the on-chain governance protocols, to be super helpful for the collective. So I made this proposal for 250 KOP to fund developers who are building on-chain social games that attract builders to Optimism. There's also intents too, which we covered previously. It has to align with the intent of the collective, and the collective has intents to grow developers on the Superchain and improve the governance, and some other ones you can see over here on this post. All this is linked in the Snapshot page, so you can check out the Optopics link that Rosmari shared, snapshot.org//optopics.eth, to find these, and I can also share them as well. But yeah, I shared some context, and part of this process, you kind of go back and forth with grants counselors and different people who are interested, and they ask questions. So I spent a while like writing why it's so helpful to fund on-chain social games. I put together a really long proposal here, which has a lot of details about why the Respect game is so helpful and so forth. Unfortunately, this didn't get funded, so I've been working to communicate the benefits of the but this didn't get sponsored. It got sponsored for 75K originally, and there's still some remaining there, but it didn't get sponsored at the amount that I'm aiming to do. So I'm working on communicating with the Grants Council going forward to put more priority on funding on-chain social games such as the Respect game. And so I provided like a whole bunch of details basically about this. I'm also working with one of the grants counselors reached out and asked for me to put together. Oh, that would actually be a good thing to pull up. I had this in my Respect game presentation, so I could pull it up really quickly. One of the grants counselors asked to create a standard operating procedure for mission requests after seeing that I had a lot of experience with it. So I put together this, and this might come soon, so you can learn more about mission requests and how the process works and step-by-step guide and stuff like that. But anyway, getting back to it, I suppose I should probably stop talking and just leave it open for just discussion. If anybody's interested in sharing something, but I'll just maybe talk for another couple minutes just to wrap it up, and can provide more details if anybody wants. So yeah, that was kind of the update on the mission request to request more funding for these initiatives. I showed mostly about the on-chain social games, but I think the creating, distributing videos about Optimism and community events and educational programs are also really important, really exciting. And then in this season, I created, I created 2 mission proposals in the last cycle, and neither of those got approved. They're both declined, but they both made it to the final round of review, and they came relatively close to receiving the score needed. You can see, for example, this is one that I made for the Optimism Fractal Respect game, where I was aiming to build or research and design an automated, decentralized, and compliant fund distribution system for the Respect game at Optimism Fractal. This is, I believe, super helpful and one of the main ideas behind the Respect game, that it could be used as a fund allocation and distribution system, but we haven't yet had that. So imagine if everybody could earn funds by building with the Respect game or playing the Respect game at each week at Optimism Fractal events or other communities that implement this. So I have a lot of ideas here about integrating with ORDAO and OREC and the HATS protocol, and perhaps roles and reputations, which Jacob has been building or was building for a while. So there's a whole bunch of details people can learn in more detail about how the system could work. And similarly, we have the videos where we're talking about the benefits of producing these videos and how that could work out and stuff like that. So I recently I've been in contact with the grants counselors. So I think I might have mentioned, but you can see the results here. You can see like what people give you scores, and a lot of people, the grants counselors, don't understand the benefits of their spec game yet. So working to communicate the benefits of them. And so, like, for example, I got some comments from OP Michael, who asked for or he provided some feedback, and then he asked some questions afterwards, and it kind of went back and forth. So that's kind of like an overview of what it's kind of like to make a mission proposal or mission request, from my experience at least. And these are the ones I'm working on. And I recently just resubmitted these 2 mission proposals for the Eden Creators videos and the Optimism Fractal Respect game that I'll be working to get approved to help support the Optimism Fractal community and ultimately help support the Optimism Collective and Superchain, as I believe that these are some of the highest value, like return on investment kind of initiatives that the Optimism Collective could have. And then also one of my main goals in this is in general, I think that the Optimism Collective is very well positioned to support fractals, and fractals are very well supported to support the Optimism Collective. So even though I didn't get the applications approved in this cycle, there's still a few more cycles to work on getting them approved, and that'd be very helpful because so far Optimism Fractal has been mostly unfunded, and we've been building for over a year. We received the founding team, Optimistics, received some funding from retroPGF round 3, but there's a lot of great builders here who haven't really been receiving funding. I know Eric had mentioned he's working to fund this system as well, and there's immense benefits for it. So these missions and mission proposals also provide a way to like a structured way to communicate the benefits of it to leaders in the collective. Like a lot of the grants council members are delegates and top badge holders as well, or top delegates and badge holders. So it's a way to be able to put out what you think should be funded in the collective and raise awareness for it too. So I encourage everybody to check out the links. And if you're interested in making mission requests or mission proposals, then you can go, like I said, to the Charmverse page. And yeah, it's a great way to build an optimism. It's evolving too. So there's lots of improvements coming, and there's grants council office hours where you can speak with the grants counselors. Okay, so that was kind of a long presentation. Hope you all enjoyed. Hopefully that's helpful. I see Rosmari smiling and laughing. We have 6 minutes left for the Optimism Town Hall scheduled. We did start a bit late, so we could go a bit later. Sometimes we go on later too, but maybe good to be punctual as well. Does anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts? I suppose one more thing I could put out too is that I've been putting out these mission proposals like there's kind of a tight deadline here, so I would love to be able to collaborate with people more in, like, if anybody has something that they want to build, especially with Optimism Fractal, then feel free to let me know, and happy to potentially collaborate on like working on ways to help raise funding for people who are building with Optimism Fractal in this season and next season too. As I said, it continues. So putting that offer out there. And that's it for me now. I'm done talking. I can talk more if you want, but I'm going to leave some just open space. We can wrap it up whenever if nobody has any comments or questions, or if anybody has any comments or questions or thoughts related to mission requests or mission proposals, then the floor is open. Lots of silence. Thank you, Rosmari, for helping provide feedback on the Eden Creators Videos mission. It was a pleasure collaborating with you on that. I really appreciate your feedback. Perhaps, Rosmari, is there anything you'd like to say about this process? Or I see Eric's unmuted too, so happy to hear from Eric if you'd like.
I'm just glad to see funding coming in a vehicle to do that.
Yep, that's true. Funding is very important. And I can also add too, so there's lots of funding mechanisms in the collective. We also discussed retro funding round 6 at last week's Optimism Town Hall episode. And retro funding round 6 was recently announced. It is allocating 3.5 million OP for public goods creators who are contributing to the governance of the Optimism Collective. So that is actually a larger amount of funding that's currently available with missions, and that works based on retroactive public goods funding. So that's another opportunity that you can learn more about by watching the last week's town hall. And then there's also, the Sunnies and several other ways to receive funding in the Optimism Collective. And I suppose one more thing I could add on here too is that we went through just about a year ago. I went through this whole experience again. We originally made a mission proposal for Optimism Fractal right before we started Optimism Fractal. And that was like a last minute thing because we didn't know about it until like a couple days before. We didn't get approved for that, but I made a bunch of videos and articles about it as well. So I have like not a million, but probably like 10 articles on the optimistics.io/blog, where you can learn about our past experience with missions from a year ago. And then I'm also curating optimistics.io/missions with the most recent progress too. But it's in development.
Very good.
Very good. Indeed.
Thank you for the overview. Yeah, I mean, it's a journey for sure to get a mission request first approved, then mission proposal, answering questions, but why this or that to prove your point, and even going through the results now from the Grants Council reviewers, the rubric results. I mean, it's kind of tough because there's not always feedback associated with the score for each section. That is probably something that for sure has to be worked on, I think, in future cycles and rounds to improve that. And as you mentioned in the call with the Grants Council and the Grants Council office hours for mission requests, it's important to improve that kind of feedback loop with the reviewers. Because not every time, like, for example, there is some feedback, but then not every time when there's a response, they respond back, which like makes you wonder, have they even read it? What is their opinion on that? Because if there's like a more of an ongoing conversation, then that would really help the participants or whoever's the applicants to know exactly what the council wants, like what more they want. Yeah, even more detailed feedback in a way, because for each section there was like maybe one sentence max of feedback. In some cases there was none. So I think that really, that's kind of like a pain point, I would say, right now. Because that's a direct correlation of support, because the reviewers, they're supposed to support the whoever is proposing the mission requests. I mean, whoever's writing the mission proposals through feedback. That's like one direct way of supporting the applicants. And if there's no feedback for a section where they score 1 out of 4, for example, then what does that say?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Rosmari. Go ahead, Eric.
I also wonder how, if any way, this can eventually fit in
to the other, some of the other work I'm doing, because my other gig is building a collaborative ecosystem to support and accelerate early stage life science companies, or any company really that's doing something to make the world better. Like yesterday, we had a clean tech symposium, and every symposium we do is just amazing. Everything from cold fusion to new electric cars to new drug therapies to new sensors. It's all just incredibly amazing stuff. At our symposiums, I usually have 2 to 6 speakers take a break, and then we have 4 to 10 companies pitch. And the nice thing is they all get feedback, detailed feedback, and then we do networking. But that lessons learned that I use on how do you build a community and then build an ecosystem on top of that as we move to that process. I just wonder if there's some path in the future for optimism to play a role in that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your thoughts and perspectives, Eric. And I think there will be. So this process is in development. I also want to respond to some of Rosemary's comments there too. So I think that those are really valuable feedback and really important as well. But the collective as a whole and the people who are working on these grants council processes, there's I mean, one, there is a significant amount of funding available. So in this season, for example, there was I think 9 million or 11 million OP that was allocated for mission proposals, and at the current price of OP or the current market value, that's I believe over $15 million that's available. So that's a quite significant amount, as well as when you combine retro funding, which is given out, it has 800 million allocated, and they've given out something like 40 or 50 million OP so far. So there's a lot of funding available, and Optimism is generally very aligned with doing things that are helpful for society, as long as it can help optimism at the same time too. They need to help optimism, but generally the optimistic vision is to create a more equitable internet, build a superchain. And yeah, superchain is like it is the leading L2 network on Ethereum, and it's basically the leading place where apps are being built on chain. And there's a huge amount of communities and organizations building great stuff on there. So I think that Optimism will be able to help support what you're building a lot, Eric, going forward. And especially since I'm already kind of like having the foot in the door a little bit about explaining the benefits of the respect game. And I know you're working with similar processes to the respect game in a lot of the organizations you're working with. So I think that, and I remember actually last season we talked about making some proposals together for, or like collaborating on proposals for educational programs and stuff like that. So it seems like these systems will continue to improve going forward, and there'll continue to be funding available. And I imagine a lot of growth for the superchain. And I imagine that there'll be lots of alignment and synergies with what you're building, Eric. And I'm very much looking forward to helping you also raise funding so you can build businesses around fractals and respect games and so forth as well.
Well, but we're building these two, Andy. One of them is for nonprofits themselves, just to go. You know, that's more like each nonprofit becomes its own fractal, so to speak. The other thing we're talking about is a community people, and the idea is really helping people help it find the conversation they need to have and hook up within that conversation, and then make decisions and collaborate. So, you know, the kind of conversation that go in is, how do I define myself as an organization? Because you can't really do anything to, as we learned, until you know who you are. And then the other thing is, you know, so if I get fully defined, that's one conversation. Another conversation is how do I get fully resourced? And the tricky part in some of their stuff, some of the stuff we're doing, is some of those resources include things like bioreactors and clean labs and genome sequencers. That's the real trick addition to what I've done before. I've never had to do that before. And the other thing is, how do I get fully staffed? How do I fully protect my IP? How do I fully navigate compliance and government issues. How do I fully become magnetic to attract customers? How do I get fully engaged with those customers? How do I scale? How do I promote? So a lot of the work I've been doing lately is defining what those conversations would make up that platform, and then building a community to support that. And then finally, where we get in is take the lessons we learned to actually build a software platform, an ecosystem that connects that community the way it wants to be connected. I know that's a lot, but that's what I've been doing in the background. Oh, I haven't seen me for that. This is actually doing a lot of talking, defining, building that community, and actually starting doing it in the physical world.
All right. Well, sounds good. Thanks for the updates, Eric. And yeah, I know you've also been talking with Vlad, who's working with Anar on building the Respect Games app. And you've also been following and perhaps talking with Tadas, who shared the ORDAO app he's building, and Abraham is now working with Howard on the fractalgram app too. So all these apps either have been deployed on the OP mainnet on Optimism already, or they're nearing readiness too. So whenever you're planning to integrate the Respect game or whatever other version of those kinds of fractal decision-making processes, or whatever you'd like to call them, to your organizations, then you'll be building on Optimism at that point. I mean, you're already kind of building on Optimism by participating in these events and taking part in Optimism Fractal and sharing your thoughts and so forth, but then you'll be building directly on-chain by using those applications. And there's also lots of other great applications built on Optimism. Like, for example, Temitope was talking about the app he's building on Base. And also, I forgot to mention, maybe it's a good thing to mention, but Jake, who people on the Zoom screen can see as Hotmanix, he built a something called Roles and Reputations, which was a software package, I suppose I can call it, that has open source front ends and open source smart contracts that integrate with HATS protocol, that was awarded or rewarded an Optimism mission grant last year. It was one of the top ranking ones, and that was actually how I found out about Jake's work too. So just to provide some context, one, shout out to Jake, and then two, letting you know, Eric, that there's lots of tools that you can build that, you know, as you're building more on chain with Optimism, with these different organizations that you're working with and different communities, then there's more and more opportunities for grants or missions or retro funding and so forth. Yeah, because then you'll be making more of an impact. One of the main things that Optimism wants to do is they want to get more people using the network, basically. So when you're building and sharing whatever your, you know, all your different projects or whichever project it is, and it has some component that's running on Optimism, then you know, each person you invite or each organization you invite will be also inviting somebody to either participate and use the Superchain, or perhaps build and get more involved with the Superchain. So the more you can do that with what you're building, then the more that you'll have an easier opportunity, or more opportunities, I should say, to earn funding from missions and other funding opportunities in Superchain, of which there are many. And also, joining these Optimism Fractal events is a great way to be on the town hall events, is a great way to raise awareness for your work, and also get more involved and learn about the best opportunities and so forth.
Well, there's another kind of something, just, you know, I'm just talking long term, brainstorming, just kind of putting thought outs there. This ecosystem includes resource providers that have space and equipment and things like that. So it also involves a lot of providers that do all those things. So that's one arm. The other arm is actually investment. So what we're doing is we're bringing investment groups. So the place has its own capital investment. I don't know how to explain to them why they might want to get involved, but I'm working with a lot of investors. So haven't thought about, you know, is Optimism count as an investor, or do we get people to invest in Optimism? That's far future, but just an idea there. And then there's the nonprofit aspect of let's work together to build a community. So there's people providing resources, people providing funding, which I guess is a resource, and people providing that community So it's an interesting environment.
All right, very interesting. Well, yeah, so Optimism could potentially be an investor in some ways. It's not like a traditional investment firm or anything like that, but there is venture capitalist firms such as Coinbase Ventures that work on the Superchain and invest in projects that are built on Optimism and Superchain that are more traditional investors. And then in a way, Optimism is also investing in projects via retro funding and missions and so forth. It's not really an investment in that traditional sense where it's like getting equity or something like that, but it is giving funding in order to build stuff and, you know, investing some of their time and energy. And then, yeah, also attracting investors to Optimism is much appreciated too. Investors provide an important part of the ecosystem economy to help fund other builders. So there's lots of opportunity for that, all kinds of those multifaceted collaborations on Optimism going forward. Also, I want to share in the messages, Rosmari had, first off, she shared some interesting links, which maybe I'll pull up momentarily, and a link to Optimism Fractal's Council registration snapshot poll. And then she also wrote, Jake, if you want to tell your mission request proposal experience, that would be great too. I think mission proposal experience. I don't know if Jake ever made a mission request, but yeah, if you want to, Jake, then we'd be happy to hear from you. Also, Temitope, if you wanted to share any thoughts, then you're welcome to as well. We have been going for about 40 minutes, so yeah, it is scheduled for a half hour, but I kind of feel like half hour is not enough sometimes, and it's good to be able to have these more open discussions, but also don't want to take up everybody's time too much. But happy to go for a bit longer, up to the top of the hour if need be, if everybody wants. I also want to respond to Rosmari's thoughts too, because Rosmari had some really good feedback there, so I want to get to that. But I suppose first, if there's anything else you want to share to wrap up your thoughts, Eric, there, then feel free. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to talking with you more about this and collaborating to help see the best opportunities for you to build and build a business and get funding on Optimism. And then also curious if Jake or Temitope or Rosmari wants to add any other thoughts before perhaps I respond to Rosmari, and then we can wrap it up. I see you're
No,
unmuted.
I just haven't been here for a while, so just trying to catch up and kind of sync with what I've been doing and what you're doing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's always good to work in sync with you. We've been doing it for a while. For anybody who doesn't know, when we first proposed the Optimism Fractal mission proposal back 1 year ago, a bit longer actually now, I had shared the updates about the Optimism Fractal mission proposal, the original one, at Eden Fractal events each week, and Eric provided a lot of valuable feedback at that time. And we have an article about that on the Optimistics blog that people can check out and see some of that early discussions. So nice to see, Eric, that you're that a year later you're getting more interested in seeing how you can build with Optimism and how the missions might help with that. As I said before, if anybody else wants to share, if Jake, you wanted to share the your mission experience, and that's welcome, or if anybody else does. Otherwise, I can go into sharing my response to Rosmari with some feedback, and then we can wrap it up after that or whenever we're ready. And I think I'll go ahead. If you want to just listen in, that's totally welcome too. No pressure to speak if you want to just listen. So yeah, I did want to also so I shared a lot of very positive things about the Optimism missions, and I'm very grateful for people who designed these, and I'm grateful that it has provided funding for Jake and many other great builders in Optimism. And overall, I think that there's a lot of great benefits of the missions, and the combination of the missions and retro funding. It's very unique, as well as all the other great things going on in Optimism with its Citizens House, Token House, and yeah, I mentioned retro funding already, but there's a lot of amazing benefits going on in Optimism, as well as Rosmari shared a chart about daily 2L2 transactions, about how Superchain is growing very quickly, and is a leading network and so forth. So yeah, very grateful, but there is some feedback to share as well. And Rosmari kind of tipped off on that because I don't know, it's being kind of sharing the more positive side, diplomatic and stuff like that. But I have a lot of feedback for the Grants Council, and I'm going to keep it high level here. I won't go much in detail, but I very much resonate with the stuff that Rosmari was sharing. So I guess one thing I could mention too, just a general detail, is that Optimism missions are milestone based too. So you got to set out some milestones you want to do. I should have mentioned that earlier, but yeah. So I've never received an Optimism mission, but I've worked on Optimism missions for hundreds of hours, and I believe that anybody who is here or anybody who's been watching these events and the respect game, and anybody who's seen the history of it, will undoubtedly see the value of the respect game and what we're doing here at Optimism Fractal. The community is still relatively young. It's only been going for a year, and the respect game process and the fractal processes have been going on for about 3 years. We have an article, optimistics.io/blog/fractal history, where you can see what's been going on. And there's been some up and downs, because one thing is that the community's never really been funded that much. There's been a little bit of funding here and there, but the founding teams that first introduced this dropped out, and then we've kind of been on our own to start these things and raise awareness from scratch and so forth. And it's a very new concept too, so most people don't understand it. We've been learning how to brand it. We only came up with the respect game branding about 1.5 years ago or so, and so there's been a process of communication to help people understand the benefits of the respect game and fractals and Optimism Fractal. And so I greatly appreciate everybody's interest and support in being here and helping support the system. And we have more momentum than ever now. I shared before, I had put together some articles about the tools that Tadas is building with ORDAO, and the fractalgram app that Abraham and Howard are building, and the Respect Games app that Vlad is building with Lennar, and people like Eric and many others who have started fractals or are interested in implementing these and have been waiting to do so for a long time. And the hats tree that Jacob helped build. Like, there's so much development going on. Rosmari making amazing promotions and amazing videos and stuff like that. But most of it's volunteer basis right now. Yeah, I spent hundreds of hours working on the mission request and the mission proposals both last year. But that was like last year, so it was put together in a rush and stuff like that. So I guess I wasn't so surprised about the lack of understanding at that point. But at this point, we've been working on Optimism Fractal for over a year, and we've shown like very well in many ways. Obviously we haven't shown the full promise of it. There could be thousands of people joining the events and thousands of fractals, which I believe there will be in the future, but it's still relatively small now. But still, people can see the videos and they can participate in the events, and we always put the promotions and invite everybody to join. And yeah, we received a lot of negative feedback, which I was very surprised about. I mean, there's a lot of positive feedback too. There's a lot of people saying like, wow, that could be really cool and stuff like that, but generally there's not that much opportunity for feedback. The only way you can get feedback is I mean, I suppose you're not supposed to reach out to the Grants Council privately or something like that, but you can, it's basically like fill out the application, and then there's sometimes they provide feedback, sometimes they don't in the evaluation and in the rubric, and then sometimes they ask questions. I got some questions which I'm very grateful for from 2 grants counselors, Michael and Jack, who I'm working and responding to. So a lot of it's like I'm very appreciative for the opportunity that people are expressing interest and learning about and stuff like that, and that's a necessary component to learn about what we're doing, and so that people can understand it. And I understand people are really busy, so they don't always have the time to understand this big new thing. But I've been like I said, there's like some negative feedback, like when you spend hundreds of hours on something and it's so good for the collective, and it's so good for all of these people, but they give like reviews that just don't make sense. Like sometimes, like for example, they say like the respect game isn't novel. They give it like a 0 out of 4, 1 out of 4 to novel, and they're like, this isn't novel. Or when we make the Eden Creators videos application, and they're like, we funded applications like this before. Like, what videos have you funded where people are playing respect games that anybody can join and share their work and do that? Like Rosmari said, it makes you wonder if they're reading it. And I'm sure they are, but it just makes you wonder how closely they're reading it. And I know mine were also kind of long too, because there's so much to convey. So not blaming anybody, but it is like a little bit, I wouldn't say frustrating, but I've received twice feedback that we should be asking for 10 times less, an order of magnitude less funding. And it's kind of like a little bit difficult. Like we've been mostly volunteering already, and we're doing this thing that I believe it's among the most the highest potential apps on Optimism that has potential to empower millions of communities around the world. And when people say like it's not novel, people say it's not aligned with the mission request. It got like a 1 out of 4 or 2 out of 4, even though I made the mission requests. I made both of them and then spent like countless hours making the mission requests. All right, this wasn't meant to be like a some sort of venting hour, but Rosmari inspired me a bit, because we've been going through this a bit. We were on audio notes, like reflecting on the feedback for many hours. And if we could speak with somebody about this, then that would be great at the Grants Council, but there's not really an opportunity for that, because the Grants Council offers hours are mostly for just like more general discussions, which of course I respect those rules, but it'd be nice if there was like more ways to get the word out and have more assurance that the grants councils are reading it closely, and have more opportunities for communication. So I suppose I can leave it at that. Thank you all for listening, and hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that's constructive. Hopefully that's constructive feedback for the Grants Council. I think it's super helpful what they're doing, but there is a need for some improvement, I think, from like a user perspective. That it would be much appreciated if this process is more welcoming. I think in a lot of cases, like people go with what they know and they fund what they know. There's a lot of people who like are really experienced with DeFi in the Grants Council who are very apt to fund DeFi projects, but they don't understand, fractals and so forth. And there's also an opportunity for us to improve our communication and clarify our value proposition, because if they don't understand it, it's likely that many other people won't understand it as well. One other thing I want to mention too is that the Respect game and the apps like ORDAO and OREC and the Fractalgram and Respect Games app, these can greatly improve the fund distribution system for the collective. We're working to integrate this into retro funding as well as perhaps missions in different ways. These are ways that there's actually Vlad had joined the Eden Fractal event a couple weeks, about a month or two ago, and Temitope was there as well as Rosmari, where he was talking about a new contribution-based funding system for the Respect Games app. And I mentioned there's a contributor at Optimism called George Lovegrove, who had written some really detailed documentation about the advantage of contribution-based funding as opposed to like a milestone-based funding, where you can just like contribute and get funding for it. And the Respect game enables that. That's actually what my mission proposal is for, where people improving a funding system so that people don't necessarily have to write a long proposal and deal with the relatively small amount of grants counselors who are also busy with different things, but their peers can rank their and evaluate their progress throughout the week on a weekly basis, and that can provide a very decentralized and meritocratic and yeah, well, I've written a whole bunch in that proposal. Basically, I've put like probably 20 adjectives, which are all absolutely true about the benefits of the Respect game as a fund distribution system and the benefits of the on-chain governance protocols like ORDAO and OREC and a council system to be able to more effectively distribute funding. So we're also keen to both engage in constructive feedback and dialogue with the Grants Council and other members of the collective who are organizing initiatives for improving governance and improving the funding opportunities and so forth. And we're all aligned. We all want to grow optimism and improve the systems to be as helpful as possible. And so I'm looking forward to both working with grants counselors on the current mission requests and proposals that I have in place, and then working with Grants Council and more contributors in the collective to help design the systems to make it easier for builders to get involved. Because really, like, when somebody comes to Optimism, I know Jake was saying this too. Like Jake, one of the issues with missions is that you have to wait 1 year to get paid by missions, which is like a pretty considerable. It's a pretty considerable barrier to be able to join, because people have to get funded sooner than that usually, or often at least. And retro funding, it only happens like once every 3 months. They're aiming to do it faster, and it's kind of like it's pretty opinionated, where they have certain things that can be funded and certain things that can't. So when you have great builders like Jake, like Rosmari, like myself, and I don't know, Temitope, I don't mean to be immodest, but I think I'm doing pretty good work. I think we're all doing good work here, who are like working to achieve the optimistic vision, contributing so much, but not getting funded and rewarded for that. And we have so much offered value to offer. I think that's an opportunity for improvement for the collective. So I'm looking forward to engaging more about that. And I said that I wasn't going to vent too much, but I got inspired to give a speech. So thank you all for listening. Hope that you all enjoyed, and hope that was helpful. I hope it was a helpful learning experience for everybody here. And thank you for everybody for watching. And yeah, we can follow up with more discussions in the chat or in future weeks. I see, yeah, Rosmari said last round on retroPGF for governance was a year ago. They also didn't have a round for community, or education, or many of the things that are important for the collective. And there's been a lot of feedback, not just from me, from others in the collective that say like, hey, this should be designed differently. But Optimism Collective also has, they're very aligned in improving the governance. They have articles like the path to open meta governance, where they're asking like, okay, how can we get more involved with the community and allow the community to more so make decisions? So I see immense potential for Optimism to be open to changes, integrating things like the Respect game, as well as further refinements to retro funding and to mission proposal system and stuff like that. And there's been a huge amount of progress already. But yeah, it is kind of it's a process to basically be able to continually improve it over time. And there's a lot of things to improve going forward as well. Thanks for sharing that, Rosmari. Does anybody else want to share any last thoughts? Rosmari, do you want to comment on that? I know I shared a lot in response to your feedback. Sorry if I spoke too much. I see Eric's unmuted too. We do only have 5 minutes, and I think that we shouldn't go past the top of the hour because we want to be timely. But also, if anybody wants to share anything, I could go a bit longer too. Any last thoughts?
I'll just give you some quick insights that I've had in helping a lot of these companies that I've been working with in the new thing I've been doing. And a lot of them focus on, let me tell you what we are, what we're doing, details. And a lot of them have gained some success by putting it in the context of this is the shortcut to that. You want that, this is the shortcut to get there. So by kind of leading with, you want this, this is how you get there faster, with more money, with less money, with less risk. I don't know if that framing helps, but that's helped a lot of the organ companies I've been working with lately by coming at it from that angle. That's it.
Thank you, Eric. That's good to keep in mind. I very much appreciated over the past years. You provide a lot of helpful feedback for better communicating our value propositions and bringing it to market and so forth. So yeah, really appreciate you sharing those insights here, and we'll keep that in mind. All right, Rosmari.
I would add that the current retro funding 6 focus on governance round is designed with some randomization in small groups. So that means they are thinking about ways to experiment with the way that we are doing the respect game in a way. So we'll see how this goes, but it seems like they are also seeking for the respect game in a way.
Yep, good point. They experimented with impact juries too in one of the previous rounds, which was a similar system going into smaller breakout rooms. And then yeah, this randomization, I think that I think what we built with respect game, when they realize it, they'll be very appreciative for all that we can offer, and it's a matter of being able to convey these benefits to some of the leaders in the collective, which I think we're making good progress to, and I'm looking forward to speaking with them about it. All right. Well, thank you, Rosmari. I think that's it. If anybody has last thoughts, then feel free to share. If not, we'll wrap it up. I think that means we're ready to wrap it up. All right. Thanks everybody so much for joining the Optimism Town Hall as well as the Optimism Fractal event. This has been a very interesting discussion, and really appreciate everybody's participation in both here and the prior respect game. Rosmari did put out this poll for anybody who wishes to participate in the Optimism Fractal 44-week council. You can learn more details here on the page about what the council is and how you can play a role in helping lead the community, encourage people to do it. Oh, give a shout out to Jake too. This was I have an article that shows a lot of the cool stuff that Jake built. This is one of the great things that the missions helped fund. So really cool stuff that he built that works with hats that we might integrate. Maybe stay tuned for next week's episode, because I have some ideas. We're going to talk with one of the co-founders of Hats Protocol, David Ehrlichman. He's scheduled to join, and so we can talk more about potential integrations and next steps of the Optimism Fractal Hats tree, as well as maybe we'll get into potential integrations with roles and reputations too. Maybe we'll see. I know Jake's also working on other stuff, but just want to give a shout out and work on that. Rosmari also shared some interesting links about the growth of optimism and so forth. So I encourage people to check it out on Warpcast. If you go on Warpcast and look for Optimism, FWIZ, shout out, working at the Optimism Foundation. Go to lou.mosh.optimistics and invite all your friends. I encourage you to join the events and invite friends to join Optimism Town Hall, Optimism Fractal, Eden Fractal, and much more. Thursdays, 17 UTC is the next Optimism Fractal event. Everybody's welcome to join, and hope to see you there. We also have an events calendar of lots of events going on in the Optimism Collective, like the Citizens and Token House meeting, Grants Council office hours, and so forth too. Feel free to reach out if you need help finding any of these things. Looking forward to seeing you next week at the Optimism Fractal event on Thursday, 17 UTC. I suppose we can wrap it up. Maybe 3, 2, 1, go Optimism. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks all so much for being here. Thanks all for watching, and looking forward to seeing you next week. 3, 2, 1. Go Optimism! Usually people say it with me. Rosmari, you want to join me?
I didn't.
I didn't hear you.
I don't know. I heard myself.
Oh, okay. 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Go Optimism!
No.
Woohoo!
said-
All right, I heard you this time. I heard you this time. Okay, thank you, Rich. Thanks all for the great event, and see you next week.
See you. Thank you.